Hello friends, and welcome back to another money video. So if you are struggling to stay motivated in your budget, and if you are at a place where you feel like you just can't be bothered anymore to budget your money, trust me, I've been there. And in today's video, I really want to share with you the tips that have helped me stay motivated when it comes to budgeting and managing my money. I have actually gone through all the phases you can go through when it comes to managing your finances. So I totally understand when people tell me they just can't be bothered with budgeting anymore and they completely feel unmotivated to do so. So before we get into these very practical and realistic tips that have helped me when it comes to being consistent with budgeting, I want to talk a little bit about, and it's important to consider, why you may be losing the motivation to budget. It could be that you've lost the buzz of budgeting and it's just not as exciting as it used to be, or it could be that actually real life has just taken over the time that you used to dedicate to budgeting, and now you find yourself months behind or weeks behind, and you just can't seem to get yourself motivated to get back into the swing of things. Or maybe you'll find that it could just be that you're just not seeing the financial changes you had anticipated, and now you actually feel like quitting. I know that these long-term goals like destroying your debt or saving for a house can sometimes feel like they're super draining, and if they're not moving as fast as you want them to in the short term, it can actually generate a feeling of unmotivation to continue with your budget. And sometimes I know that the excitement of fun right now or the short-term thrill of impulse spending can also take our eyes off our priorities, especially now in lockdown with not much to do and a whole internet full of things to buy. Trust me, I know I've talked about my impulse spending a lot on this channel. And it can also be that life gets so busy that we lose the consistency of staying on top of our money. And as a result of all these things, we lose our enthusiasm and our motivation for budgeting, and it just starts to take a back seat. First off, what I want to say is don't worry about it. But if you find that you are unmotivated to budget, it actually happens to a lot more people than you think. So if anything, the first thing I would say is that you need to show yourself some grace and don't be too harsh on yourself. When it comes to budgeting, and in fact, when it comes to your personal finances, there will be times that you lose your motivation or desire to continue. But that is why I'm here, and I want to share with you these realistic and practical tips that have helped me in the hopes that it will make it easier for you to stay motivated in your budget. But before we get into that, please make sure to hit that like button and to share this video with someone who wants to make a positive impact in their finances. So the first thing is to make sure you define your why. Why are you budgeting? Why do you want to use this method to manage your money? Why do you want to pay off debt that quickly? Why do you want to save more money? What brought you to the idea of budgeting? What are you hoping to make happen? You kind of get the idea, right? You need to dig deep within you and be honest about the reasons why you want to take control of your money once and for all. That's your why. And if you're doing it because some person on the internet told you to do so, then you'll quickly find yourself financially fatigued. It'll be a lot harder to make real progress, stay motivated, and in fact, you are more likely to give up. So I really encourage you to find out your own why and the reason that will be driving you to budget, because finding something that means a lot to you will make budgeting that much easier. For me personally, it's a combination of time freedom and financial freedom. And I found myself deeply in the heart of budgeting because I want to be better with my money so that I can have the time and money to do whatever it is that I want to do with my time, as well as secure a future for my son and any other children I may have in the future. So like I said, it's super important to find out your why and find something that you deeply want. Maybe it's that you're dreaming of owning your own home one day, or you've always wanted to go on a round the world trip for an entire year, or maybe that's just me. Or maybe you're just fed up with being worried about money all the time and you just want to have the financial freedom to do what you want without being concerned about your money. Once you find out your why, write it down and keep it somewhere you can always see it. And when you feel unmotivated to budget, you can always refer to your why. So I have a vision board right above my computer because that's where I spend a lot of my time. And every now and again, I catch a glimpse of it and it reminds me what I'm working so hard for and why I'm taking control of my finances. And so with that in mind, tip number 2 is to make your goals visual. If you can envision your goal in plain sight, then you are more likely to reach your goal as opposed to keeping it all in your head. Hang up images around the house of visuals that represent your goals. Maybe it's paying off that credit card debt. Or for the foodies in this community, maybe it's putting up a visual reminder somewhere so that you can remind yourself of your goals to stop you overspending on food. Maybe it might be that you have a screensaver on your devices of your forever home to remind you not to make those impulse purchases, and that you have adjusted your lifestyle and created this budget because you are now committed to making your goals become a reality. So make sure you're reminding yourself of those big things every single day. And don't worry, you don't have to be super creative to be able to create a vision board. Your reminder could actually be a printout of 5 or 6 or 10 positive statements that reflect your goals and your feelings. The whole takeaway from this situation is that when you see your vision every day, you're reminded of why you need to take action and how your budget comes into place. Tip number 3 is to make sure you are budgeting for fun. Now, one of the major reasons people lose their willpower to budget is because they don't budget for fun money, and their budget really starts to feel restrictive, and this can actually lead to budgeting burnout. So it's important to make sure you budget for fun money. Let's be real, not many people love to budget. In fact, so many times when people hear the word budget, they think of deprivation, they think of restriction, they think of no fun, which all have very negative connotations. And it's true that when people talk about budgeting, it is mostly about making sure you are spending less and being intentional with your money. So I can understand why people would think that. But that's why when you are budgeting, you should leave some money for spending on fun stuff that you don't have any accountability for, because you work really hard. So it's important to give yourself the reward of playing hard too. So allow yourself to have some fun money as well that you can reward yourself with for sticking to your budget. But what I will say is that if you are saving for an emergency fund or actively paying off your debt, that fun money is actually going to be a super small amount. Remember, the small budget line is just for a season, and you can increase the amount of fun money you have once you've reached these financial goals. And in turn, that should also act as a motivator to encourage you to stick to your budget. Another consideration is to try a different budgeting method. There is absolutely no harm in trying different budgeting methods. A lot of people I've met feel they have to stick to one budgeting method and that is it. So if you've been using the same budget method and you find that it's not for you, then maybe it's time to switch things up. Remember, your goals are staying the same, but the route to your goals can actually be varied. There's so many budgeting methods out there, and that in itself highlights that there is no one size fits all for everyone. And in fact, I've tried a variety of methods before I settled on the one that I like right now, and who knows, it may actually change in the future. I've tried the incremental budgeting method, which basically takes my last year's figures and then I subtract a percentage to obtain this year's goal. So let's say on average, last year I was spending about £2,000 a month. Then this year I will subtract 10% of that and save that 10% and try and live off £1,800 a month. I've also tried the reverse budgeting method, where once you get your paycheck, you pay yourself first, and then whatever is left behind is what you use to pay for everything else. And in fact, this reverse budgeting method was really helpful to me when I was living at home and I was saving for my house deposit. But at this moment, I really like the zero-based budgeting method, which simply allows me to allocate all of my money to specific categories like my fixed expenses, my flexible expenses, my savings, any debt payments. And the goal is that my income minus my expenditures should equal zero by the end of the month. As you can imagine, there's so many other budgeting methods available, like the half payment budgeting method, the calendar method, the envelope budgeting method, and so forth. So take a look at all the methods of budgeting and try them out and find the one that works best for you. In fact, you may even find yourself merging aspects of each of the different methods to create your own style. The key point here is to make sure you make budgeting as easy and simple for you as you can, so that when the going gets tough, you won't be completely withdrawn from getting things done. Then my tip number 5 is to learn more about budgeting and money management. One thing I found that happens when it comes to losing motivation to budget is when you begin to doubt yourself. Now, throughout my budgeting history, I found myself questioning whether I'm doing it correctly or if I even understand the concept of budgeting or the budgeting method that I'm using. And if you find questions like that popping up in your head as well, then maybe it's time to take some time to learn more about how to do this money thing better. It's amazing how much another person's words can resonate with you. So take the time to watch, listen, read information provided by those in the personal finance niche, especially when it comes to what's working for them. I know that when it comes to anything budget-wise, I personally really enjoy watching other people's budgets on YouTube to see what they're doing and how it's working for them. And that has always encouraged and motivated me to continue budgeting, because you see their journey and it encourages you as well. And of course, if you are looking for an example of how to do a budget, check out this video of mine. I walk you step by step on how I budget and track my expenses on a month-by-month basis. And the beauty of it is that this budget tracker is completely beginner friendly. So I will link that video up here, and of course I will link it in the description box below. And it's only when I was watching and learning from others that I learned that I was being unrealistic with my budget. So the next tip is to make sure you are setting realistic goals. When you set unrealistic goals, you're actually setting yourself up for failure. For example, if you're trying to force yourself to reduce your food shop bill from £500 a month to £80 a month overnight, I personally think that's unrealistic. I would suggest you work incrementally to reduce your expenses over time. So maybe the first month you set yourself a target of £250. See if you can do it with that, and if you achieve it, then reduce it again to £150, and then continue month on month until you find that sweet spot where you are spending the bare minimum without feeling deprived but getting everything that you need. Remember, this is your budget and it has to work for your personal circumstances and for your financial goals. So work with what works for you rather than trying to mold someone else's budgeting method into your life. It's also important to make sure that you surround yourself with people who value the power of budgeting. So I found that as people, we're more inclined to get things done if we're surrounded by like-minded people, right? And if you find yourself physically and digitally spending time with people who love to spend their money recklessly, then unless you have the most amazing willpower, you're more likely to be tempted to do the same. However, if you surround yourself with like-minded people, and that can be physically again or in your digital space, so your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube feed, you're more likely to reach your financial goals because they will act as a daily reminder to pursue your money goals. So I would highly suggest and encourage you to find yourself either an accountability partner, virtually or physically, and let them know what your goal is. Follow the right people online and let them encourage you and motivate you to do what you need to do to pursue your money goals. And then with your accountability partner, have regular catch-ups to discuss how you're doing with your money goals, because they will be a source of not only accountability but encouragement to make sure you reach your goals. And of course, whilst we are on the digital space, I would suggest that you make sure you track your expenses like you track your social media. Let's be honest, a lot of us spend a lot of time on social media just having a look at what's going on in other people's lives. But can you imagine if you spend the amount of time and energy on your personal finances and on your budget, and if you made your budget more important than your feed? The progress you would make. And trust me, I'm talking to myself here too. This is a challenge for me as well. Of course, it's okay to jump on Instagram, but make sure it's not getting more of your attention than your personal finances and of course your money goals. So let me know in the comments below how you motivate yourself to continue budgeting. Like, what tips and tricks are you using that you have found are working really well for you, especially when it comes to unmotivation for budgeting. Don't forget, if you're looking for free money, make sure to hit that Trading 212 link down below. All you have to do is deposit £1 and you get a free share worth up to £100. That could be up to 99 free pounds. Please don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe so that you don't miss any future uploads as I'm sharing my journey to financial freedom and early retirement. And of course, share this video with someone who is looking to make a positive impact on their finances. Also, don't forget to check out these videos, which will show you all the financial tips I am currently implementing on my journey that have saved me thousands and thousands of pounds. Thank you so much for all your support, and I will see you in the comments below, and of course in the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.